Hi, hello. Make sure the volume's up. Hi, how's everybody doing? I've been absent. Well, I was absent last week. Had a few absent. I had more absence than expected this year. But, to be honest, because I just can't put on a fake face, all transparency. That's how I started, and that's how it's going to be authenticity. You know, I actually am going to start on another title. I was in the process of talking about um, things to do for a successful 2024. And I was in motion with that. I think it was like 7 things to do. However, look, the reality is, as I was thinking and going through some changes and had to pivot for myself, pay attention to myself in those areas of the 5 F's, not that F word. So the 5 F's meaning faith, femininity, we have family, fitness, and finances, which is another way to encompass mind, body, and spirit, all of those things in a holistic approach in what we are looking to do when we are creating a life that we love, right? When you're creating a life that you love, there's some things that go into that. I just started to think when I took a pause and as I was going through, as I'm going through, I don't even want to say health challenges, health adjustments, because everything is actually good. However, I had to do things to tailor um, my life because things were added to my life, where I was taking things off my plate and things were added to my plate. And the way I do things when something is added, and I'm what I'm saying added, uh, when something's added to my plate, I always go 110% because I am a results person. I like to get results. And I know pretty much what it takes to get those results. It takes um, discipline, commitment, resilience, and in doing those things, sometimes, yes, we can become overwhelmed. Well, I did become overwhelmed. And then when I become overwhelmed, I'm still trying to juggle all of those things. It's kind of a pattern that I've noticed with myself. Okay. So everything, but in the interim, in the outlooking and overlooking everything, I've I've gotten great results. I've gotten those success and those good results from doing the work. Then I'm doing the work for myself, I'm doing the work for others, and then I just want to see everything become a win-win. And when doing that, you have to put in there a time when to pause. And I had my time to pause a day for myself, but it was snatched. It was taken away without going into a whole bunch of details. It was, it was filled with something else. So hence that allowed me to um last week I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take this day to get some things in order, which is myself, right? And I noticed that that's been happening a few times this year, and that's okay. And that's one thing and a lesson that I've learned by doing that is that that is okay. Because, listen, I come first, and that's a growth. So if you're going through something, you have to get to the point to where you come first. Like I said, good things have been happening. So much of my desire reality has come to pass and I'm living it. However, you're still chipping away. It's like I don't want to say yin and the yang, but that's basically how it's going to go. You can say, I always use the term go with the flow, but then there's waves, there's waves, and then sometimes you just have to ride the wave. So, in saying that, I was like, I'm going to do a pause on what I was doing because I think the main thing in everything that I'm saying and everything that I'm talking about really has to do with, I've said this before, like loving yourself, loving yourself, listening to your intuition, because to create a life that you love, like you got to know. You got to know what you want. You got to know what you love. And you have to spend time with yourself. You have to spend time in stillness to get centered. It's work because we're so programmed to live and expect things external outside of us to change, right? When it's us, when it's me, when it's you, your own unique self. That's what I call you, right? You, your, oh, own, and I said you, I meant why. Your, oh, own, and you, unique self. Okay. So, again, the title for today's show is The Three Ways to Hear and to Know God's Voice. Listen, there are a lot of voices out there. There are a lot of voices in your head. There are so many voices. And with so many voices, you know what that's called? Noise. It's so much noise. You have to quiet that down. And to get it down to God's voice, to integrate your voice with His voice, the word says, my sheep know my voice. In my book, I talk about in the beginning when that car accident happened, I heard a voice within me. You're waking up every day and you're hearing voices. This is not what was that show? He said, I hear dead people. Like, you know, hey, maybe you do. Maybe you do hear your loved ones who's passed away, in a good sense. You know what I mean? You hear their voice. You hear your mother's voice, uh, alive or not. Or you hear your father's voice. Or you hear that teacher's voice. What were you what voice and what do you remember about those voices? Are those voices giving you something that is not beneficial for you, that's not supporting you, that's not helping you? The famous voices that we do know we hear about us when, let's say, you're having challenges with something, or just in terms of growth in life, just in terms of listening. Personal growth, we kind of hear that, well, I'm not enough, or what's the other one? Uh, oh goodness, it's like right there, right there, right there, it's right there, it's right there, it's right there. The pasta syndrome, the pasta syndrome, imposter syndrome. I don't know, so much stuff has come up, but even with all of that, let me tell you that when you have a foundation of what the voice should sound like, because we do have that eternal voice, internal voice of love. Like, I do believe, I I can say I'm almost, okay, 90% certain, because we're created from the Creator. I believe the creator inside of us, the voice is there. The voice is there because it's our creator. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to talk about three things and three things in ways in which you can hear um, God's voice and know that it's God's voice. It's through God's principles, besides the basic ones that we hear. I'm not saying that they're bad basic. They're basic because we're familiar with those. We're familiar with prayer and meditation to be still and to hear God's voice. So I had prayer, meditation, scriptures. Scriptures, we're familiar with that, like scriptures through his scripture through community churches, council, that type of thing. I believe we are familiar with that. And I do believe they are very, 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 very important um, to, you know, have someone to speak God's words or we hear from other people. But just know, but right now we're talking about God's voice because we're talking about when you're alone. I'm talking about when I'm alone. If I was on the island by myself, you don't even have to be on the island by yourself. Just be alone. When you're alone, what voice is going on in your head? What voice are you listening to? That's what I'm talking about. In that quiet, still space, place within yourself. Okay? What voice are you listening to? What voice are you hearing? And we want to make sure it's God's voice. Because today, with so much out there that can grab your attention, right? Grab your attention. You want to make sure that you know what you're giving your attention to. And the best presence or the best, I want to say person, you know what I mean? It's the best is to give your attention to the creator. That's it. I don't know. I mean, you have to put it in no elaborate way. Is to give your attention to the creator, to God. Give your attention to the creator, to God. That's how you're going to get there. That's how you're going to get to create the life that you love. People will tell you, "Oh, you can't create. You can't do that. You can't." You- See, you can't. That's because they can. And if they can't, then that's their business. I know there's a person that always says that, but have a good day. And if you don't have a good day, don't you go messing up somebody else's day. The creator, God, he wants you to have a good day every day, even in the midst of challenges, right? There's a solution or there's a resolve. I'm not saying to deny your feelings, your emotions, or anything like that, because your emotions are going to always be present. That's the way you connect with God. So we got to know how. Everybody's talking about emotional intelligence and all those things. That's necessary, emotional intelligence. But I do believe that when you are connected with the Creator, with God, with that source, He gave us our emotions, gave us the emotion of joy, love, peace, right? Gave us the emotion of sadness. Okay, he didn't necessarily give us the emotion of being depressed and staying down, right? We know that when we're in that space, we can cast our cares on Him and that He will lift us up. So I know I'm kind of going on and on and on and on in that area, but I just kind of want to lay that foundation, even if I have to come back. I just want to lay the foundation for you, for us to get that connection and to get to that place of solitude, silence, surrender, to hear and to know God's voice. Okay? That's what's important. So I'm going to go into God's values, what God values, right? I don't even want to say the obvious. But we know when we hear his voice, it's going to sound like love because God is love. So that's the first one. God is love. And we can just sit, think about what love is like to you, what love feels like to you. Love. God said that he so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. That's love. So love. I think love, um, you heard of agape love. Love is unconditional, that type of thing. I know you heard people say, I love you, but I don't necessarily like X, Y, and Z, right? I don't necessarily like that about blah, 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 blah. Maybe you feel that about yourself. Hey, there's some things I love about myself. And if it's something I don't like about myself, I'm already on like, okay, what can I do to like that about myself? Because I want to love myself totally. And I think with that perspective, when you are in that mindset of being open and loving yourself, that's a God love. And and God being present within us, right? Isn't that what we say? Excuse me. We say that, God is within us. The God said, I am. Say, I am sent you. I am is with you. I am, right? I am peace, love, happiness, joy, bliss. I am. Okay. So we have love, number one. And then I think God is a just God. So we're going to go with these characteristics. And then I'm going to break down some other things. I'm kind of glance at the time. That's okay. So we got justice. Justice, offhand, I don't want to say justice is it's tricky, but mm, I'm going to read it first because I just want to kind of read it. Okay, I had God's language. His language is a language of love. And then his language is a language of love. We talked about love. On here, I have principles and truth. I have it written down last, but let's just go to principles and truth, God's truth. For God said, the word says, know the truth and the truth will set you free. Truth, truth is freedom. When you know the truth, have you ever experienced that when somebody tells you the truth or you learn the truth about something? For me, when I learned the truth that for after 4 years and I had a traumatic brain injury and those and it, then everything made sense. It was the truth. So therefore I was relieved and it was like, okay, okay, light bulb, right? That's why this is happening. So think of something when you were in the dark and then you heard the truth, right? But in this aspect, God is all truth. Make sure my light's good. God is all truth, right? God is love. God is truth, right? So I don't know why I can't. I wanted to find justice. His justice. Actually, we have his values, the values, right? I'm not going to go into the principles right now because we're going to hit these three. So I said uh, love, truth, and I have justice here that will be upholding fairness, integrity, righteousness, ensuring that everyone is treated with dignity and respect. I think that's good, right? Dignity and respect. Um, Righteousness. I love the righteousness part because God has made us all righteous. All righteous. We are righteous in Christ. We are righteous in God. And it's not that righteous like you righteous. Well, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about we have the characteristics to be righteous, to be right, to be good. It says here, um, to uphold fairness, integrity, righteousness, integrity. That's another word I love. Integrity, to ensure that everyone is treated with dignity and respect. So we have to be in that area of those characteristics of God to know his voice. Because when he does something or he's guiding us in a thought and it comes out in our action and our behavior, it's going to be, that's what it's going to look like. And again, I'm going to say ain't. I ain't saying that it is going to be always perfect, but that's the process we know we get to. And I do believe that in day to day, that we can be righteous and we can live in integrity with integrity and give that respect. I mean, that's what makes me feel good. That's what makes me feel love. Does that make you feel love? Does that make you feel good? So you got to ask yourself, you want to create a life that you love, and you have to be that. You know, nothing given, nothing gotten. You can't, be it, do it. That's that's how it is. You know, I can go into that and go into God's and now I found it and go into uh God's because I have his principles and then um his let me get my thoughts together. God's language. I think that was the last one. Because I kind of do want to hit some other layers to this. But let's just stay there. Let's just stay there. I promise I'm gonna look at this and then go back. I know I said that before with something, and then I just kind of I pivot. I pivot and I came here because I think this is something that's necessary to lay a foundation on, to lay a foundation here. So we're gonna stay there with the love, the justice, and the truth. Um, of God's core of the core values, right? We're gonna stay there. And I'm just to read these. I'll read it off the way it's said here, even though I ad lib. I basically was just coming from my heart. But I want to read these out to you. So love is central to God's nature. Love is expressed in His relationship with humanity and the call for us to love one another. Justice. God stands for fairness and righteousness, advocating for um, the oppressed and ensuring that justice prevails in human affairs. This is humanity. You know, we're connected as a whole. We're individuals, but we're all connected. I'm trying to, because that's a whole nother topic on how we're connected. But we are all one, okay? In God, we're we're all one. Truth. God embodies truth, guiding us towards honesty, integrity in our thoughts, words, and actions. See what I said? I have lived because that's what it is. Our thoughts, our words, and our actions should line up all of this. And God is as near to you as your next breath. So, in order for you to hear and know Him and to know that way of being, you got to spend time in the light. You got to know the darkness, but you got to spend time in the light, encouraging us to seek and uphold what is right in the light. So, love, justice, and truth. Listen to this again, meditate on what was said, think about it, meditate on it, be still in it, be at peace with it, be open with it, however way this connects and reaches you. I hope something in what and how it was said, God has connected to you through that because that's my intentions, that's my purpose. So that's what I'm giving. That's my prayer is that what was said here today, that you would know, and I always go back to that you will know God's voice, you will know His voice, and when you hear, you will hear it. You will hear His voice, and you will know His voice. Because God says, my sheeps, they know my voice. Okay? So, again, you think it, speak it, to be it. I'm not going to say to see it, because we walk by faith and not by sight. If you see it, it already happened. It don't happen out here first. Okay? It don't happen in reality first. It happens in the spirit first. It's already done. God said all things, it's already done. Right? It's done. So know that it's done. And all that you desire to be, to know of your heart's desire, it's already done. It's already present. All you have to do is align with it. Align with it. Align with God's voice. And you will know. And you will know it is His voice. If you think it, speak it, to be it, to create the life you love. From my best spirit to your best spirit. Ciao.